video is about taking a lesson about support a community from the magpies. You may hear in the background a minute a magpie. That's a magpie. This week we found a baby magpie in the garden here. It couldn't fly, it was just running around on the ground, and I was really worried about it, but I have grown up in nature, so I know we have to leave nature to do its job. We have to leave the wildlife to do its job. This is nature. So I knew not to touch it. I did because I felt sorry for it, and it was hot weather. I did put some water out for it and a little bit of food, which actually it didn't take. But the whole time its mother was up in the tree above it. That noise that you heard is not actually its mother, because we have a good positive story here. This is another bird, so I think we're going to have the same issue later today, and I'll go have a look in a while. So this little baby magpie couldn't fly, and it was beautiful and it looked so sad, but it was listening to every sound. But whenever I went near it, the mother would make that awful screeching sound. She was warning me away, and she was warning the magpie, the little baby magpie. He had to run and he had to hide, and he did. He waddled away as fast as he could into the bushes, and I couldn't see him. But then as he got stronger, he would jump up on some of the logs that I have up there in that part of the garden, and he would then look at me, and then she would shout a little bit more as if she was encouraging him, and the sounds were different. Each time she made different sounds. I soon learned that this really bad screeching sound was like run away, run away, run away, danger, danger, danger. And then she made other sounds that were similar, but they had a slightly different tone, so I knew she was giving it instructions. This little bird was running around in the garden for several days, but each day it was getting stronger, and it would jump higher and higher onto the logs, and eventually on day 3 it jumped up on top of the fence. So I thought, wow, wow, wow. All day long she was in the tree shouting at it or giving it instructions and warnings. All the other birds stayed away, nothing came near it, no other birds in the garden attacked it, the cats didn't come. I don't have a cat here, but we have neighbourhood cats, nothing. But she really kept that bird safe. And then on day 3 it fell again, and it couldn't jump up to get back on the fence, and it was still on my side of the fence. So the next thing that was amazing was, not only did she start to screech and help it and encourage it, but 3 other magpies came too, and it got really, really noisy in this garden. But these 3 magpies, I don't know whether they were her siblings, whether they were the male magpies, whether they were just the community of magpies, but they all started to protect and encourage this baby magpie to fly and to be safe. And over the next couple of days, because he was here 5 days, they would take it in turns to encourage him. And you saw him, I was watching him and I videoed him, you saw him, he would really listen, and then he'd do something, he'd flap his wings or he'd run, and then he'd jump a little bit higher, and then he'd try to fly a little bit more. It was amazing, and I was watching the whole thing from afar. The mother and the other birds did not like me going near him, and the noise would become deafening when I did, but he started to trust me. I'm saying it's a he, it could be a girl, I don't know. He started to trust me. He heard my voice and he knew that I wasn't going to hurt him, and very often I would be giving him bits of food on the ground. I never fed it and I never touched it. But eventually, with this collective spirit of this family of magpies, or this community of magpies, this little magpie started to get more confident, and I could see him listening. It was amazing, and it wasn't always his mum, because I could see the different ones shouting at him. Anyhow, on day 5 he then managed to jump up on top of the fence, and I thought, wow, wow, wow. He flapped his wings and he was there all day, and the mother went quiet. The other ones were, they all stayed on my roof, so there was 4 of them still around and in the tree. And then he tried to fly and he ended up in the garden next door, back to square one, so it seemed to me. And this is when this collective consciousness, this collective support of this group of magpies came into power, because they, between the 4 of them, never gave up. They protected that bird that had fallen in the garden opposite, and they encouraged him and they encouraged him and encouraged him, and they were taking it in turns, sometimes collectively, all together, and sometimes one at a time. It was amazing to listen to, it was amazing to watch. And eventually he flew. He actually flew, and he flew away. I don't know where he is now. He's definitely not in the garden next door. He's not in my garden, and its mother is not here. So I think the bird is okay, and he's obviously safe with her somewhere and flying around free. So I decided, what can we take from this message? Nature teaches us all the time, and I'm always in nature, and I love nature, as many of you know. Well, this was about support. This was about community support. This was a group of magpies supporting the mother, supporting that baby, and encouraging it, giving it instructions. None of them came down to it. None of them touched it. None of them fed it, from what I could see. But they encouraged, and they worked as a group, a collective group. And this baby magpie survived. And it listened. And it learnt from them all. And there's always been this saying that you give a child a village, and a village will bring up the child. And I remember when I was growing up, we lived in the countryside, and there wasn't many people around us, but all the people who did know us, they always were encouraging us and helping us as kids to thrive and to grow. And this is what this magpie did, or these magpies did. And I really believe that we, as human beings, need to do more of this. Support each other, small groups, whatever. During this COVID pandemic, I know communities have come back together, and we have been supporting each other and helping in each other. But we all now really need to grow this, grow the lessons we've learned from COVID, grow the lessons that I learned today from this magpie family. And I learn all the time from nature, so you yourselves could go out into nature and watch how birds and animals work together. Nobody interfered, but everybody supported, and they kept danger away from that bird and encouraged that little baby bird to grow in confidence, and to get its wings and to literally fly. And it did fly. And we as human beings, we can fly. If we have support, if we encourage people and share, and we don't interfere, because nobody interfered with that bird at all. Even I didn't interfere. Yes, I did put water there, but I didn't touch it. I've learned my lessons, and I've grown up in nature. But if we could do that ourselves, imagine what a nicer place this world would be. Nobody was judging that bird. Nobody was interfering, but this collective community, these 4 magpies, I don't know who they were, helped and encouraged and saved that bird and encouraged it, and it flew. And we as human beings, we can fly too. We just need to be together. We need to support each other. If you can find groups, maybe there are groups in your community of people needing help, or there's groups of young children that need to be encouraged to go into the garden, do gardening, to knit, to learn to crochet, to learn to cook. Join these groups. Don't start telling the children, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you shouldn't be doing this. Encourage them. Let them do the work themselves, but be there as a support, holding them, nurturing them, and giving guidance from a distance in a beautiful, caring way, not attached to it, but determined, and build those children up, or those people up with confidence. We can do it to in the homeless on the street, encouraging them to get back into society. Maybe there must be lots of communities around you with groups. Sorry about the noise, but I wanted to video this in the garden because it was so appropriate, and I wanted you to hear the magpies. And we even have a private plane flying. Oh, we don't even have planes at the moment because of COVID. Sorry about that, but maybe it's all about flying. So go into the community, support yourself, support others. Don't interfere, but just encourage from a distance. And we can be like that magpie and that family of magpies that help and encourage it to fly. And let's start to encourage and help other people to fly. Be support for someone else. Be community support. Be a support for a child. Be a support and a guidance and a collective feeling of help. And let's unite together. And we can make this world a better place if we do. We really can. We can always learn from nature. I learn from nature all the time. And I encourage you to do too. So thank you for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. And I was in my garden. I thought it was appropriate here in England. And I think I will do more videos from the garden with lessons from nature. Take care, everybody. And remember, support yourselves and be a community, and we can change the world. Thank you.